The sad girl aesthetic is more dangerous than you think.
Coke's gone. We broke up.
Why do we associate beauty with sadness? Hate to say this, but I was a sad girl last year. Yes, there may or may not be a boy involved, but I do think I almost consciously stayed in this melancholic state for too long.
Where yes, situations definitely trigger the sad emotions.
But I went into a whole negative loop of feeding into the emotions by having a sad girl identity. Point is, I would have been over a situation a lot sooner had I not fallen into the sad girl aesthetic trap.
Where there is a sense of beauty associated with being the main character of a tragic story and romanticizing self-destruction.
Not healthy.
Hit me.
What?
I want to feel something. Hit me.
I am not suggesting that it is not okay to have sad emotions, but the internet definitely romanticized sadness to a point
where mental illnesses and destructive behaviors have become an aesthetic, both glorifying illnesses and turning a serious issue into almost a trend.
As someone who went through situational depression, let me just say one thing. It ain't pretty, and it's not as aesthetic as social media or cinema portrays. So let's dive into
the obsession with the sad white girl trope. Why do we associate beauty with sadness? And the issues with the romanticization of mental illness. What is a sad girl? Black and white photos of roses, tears, and cigarettes hanging from red, full-chapped lips.
F don't cry. I'm not crying.
Sad girl is an aesthetic that became popular in 2015,
but is still relevant.
According to the Urban Dictionary, a sad girl is someone who is aloof, self-possessed, and reserved. She is constantly depressed and miserable, only talks about lost love, memories.
Why bother?
Probably uses some type of substance to mask the pain.
So be good for your mum, kids. Keep it tight and shit.
Reminiscent of a Hollywood noir film.
Baby, now you do.
The sexiest thing about her is her mysterious nature.
I think you're going.
Nowhere.
And other sad girls and sad boys will gravitate toward her. An article from Artifact also describes sad girls as young girls from affluent Western countries who embody a peculiar paradox, the desire to convey their innermost thoughts through a formulaic aesthetic. Some examples of this aesthetic include Lana Del Rey, Effie Stoneham, and even Bella Swan in Twilight. Tumblr and Instagram were the hubs for the rise of the sad girl era. Girls shared blurry selfies, crying in the bathroom with deep and mysterious captions, tweets about missing their ex, pictures with teardrop motifs painted on their cheeks. Sadness has never looked better. Moreover, sadness has never been more marketable. Welcome to the Sad Girl Club, where membership is granted for loyal sad girls who wear sadness for the world to see. For only $24.55, that's right, not even $25, you can be like the 2,809 other sad girls. Mysteriously sad, confused but aesthetic. Taxes and shipping not included, pink bat also not included, but hurry, because capitalism works so well on sadness that it might just sell out. Must be pretty when you're sad. The obsession with the sad white girl trope. The internet sad girl has more issues than you think. Let's first begin by dissecting the obsession with the sad white girl trope. With minor exceptions, internet sad girl only caters to the sad white girl. The sadness of women of color or of the impoverished were and still are virtually ignored on social media. Because sad girl is, after all, an aesthetic. The whole reason for this aesthetic to become so popular was that it beautifies a common emotion while hiding all the underlying quote-unquote untasteful issues under the aesthetic. To truly be sad on the internet and be a part of the internet sad girl trope requires a sadness rooted in white privilege. To adhere to Western beauty standards, to be sad and thin, to be sad and not poor. The affordability of healthcare are not facets of the internet sad girl's woes. The sad girl aesthetic is almost attention hungry.
Do I ever get to be upset? Do I ever get to be anyone but me?
A lot of the framing, aesthetic choices are very much conscious. Everything seems so poetic and deep, so that depression has never looked so mysterious, so sexy.
Not saying that sad girls don't have real issues or their emotions are not valid,
But the whole aesthetic puts a greater emphasis on using the trope for attention seeking.
instead of focusing on actually addressing the underlying issues, such as seeking professional guidance and help.
Because a visit to the therapist doesn't look as noir chic as a bathroom crying selfie, right?
People I should love, I hate. And the people I hate,
But why do we associate beauty with sadness?
Not gonna lie, I do find beauty in heartbreaks and imperfections of life because that reflects the reality of life.
Not every moment is going to be a hand-holding hand, cheerful dance.
And not everything we want will be granted by the universe.
Sadness is nothing but a reminder of what happiness is.
But there seems to be an over-romanticization of sadness in film and TV and social media.
The tragic heroine is always filled with sorrows, yet she is still glowing with beauty and elegance while her troubles deepen. Tears are shining like glitters. She cries, yet she does not have a runny nose nor a completely red face. Her hair glistens as if a new blowout is still fresh. Her outfit is still on point and coordinated with style.
Yet again, a woman can be anything. Sad, angry, depressed, annoyed. But as long as she is pretty,
She is still loved by the world.
thanks for loving me.
Society doesn't just associate beauty with sadness, it associates
or more so prescribes beauty to women. Fox water is not better. It tastes like cardboard.
Please, Lord, make me the biggest star the world has ever known, so that I make it far away from this place.
Now, I'm not a beauty creator and I can't say much to the makeup trend to look like a crying girl, but objectively, yes, the makeup is pretty. All the girls look angelic. All the girls look so vulnerable with the impression of having just cried. All the girls look very aesthetic and seem like they have a story to tell. But there is also a thin line between making it okay to cry because of real, raw human emotions versus making crying, being sad, depressed, suffering, and aesthetic.
I used to cry a lot, and I think I thought I looked good. Because I'd take a photo every time. So let's do the crying girl makeup.
I don't know, what do you guys think? Because strictly speaking, makeup is a form of art, a form of self-expression, and fundamentally, I don't think there is anything wrong with the crying makeup, as it is analogous to a painting of a crying woman. My only issue with art expressing sad emotions, regardless of format, whether on a canvas or on a human face, is that regardless of the intricacy of the emotion, the goal is to almost always convey some form of beauty. The subject of the art, the woman, almost always follows or highlights some standards of conventional beauty. The theory of sad girl
Yes, that's an actual thing.
was produced by Los Angeles-based artist Audrey Wolin and originated as a study on the cultural trope of suicidal women, which eventually evolved into the idea that women's sorrow is a political agent whose unwillingness to make apologies for her misery and suffering is an act of revolt.
The idea sounds really empowering, as the expression of emotions shouldn't be something to be sorry for in the first place. But the fact that women's unapologetic sorrow is seen as a political agent shows you how much society embraces women's autonomy. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll be allowed to eat. But I digress.
I do believe there is beauty in the emotion of sadness itself.
As with every other emotion, it is a gift.
It is the yin to the yang of happiness and thus beautifully completes the human experience. However, the sad girl aesthetic is not an aesthetic celebrating the array of emotions in life.
It romanticizes the sadness behind death and illnesses.
Romanticizing mental illness.
There is something fundamentally different between normalizing mental health issues and glamorizing it. Moreover, glamorizing the pain and hurt from mental illnesses, instead of encouraging tangible actions like seeking help. This is why the sad girl aesthetic is actually dangerous.
Making suicidal social media captions trendy, crying alone and not seeking help aesthetic.
Almost applauding suffering as a cool thing.
That makes you different, that makes you special, that makes you attractive.
At the cost of you staying unwell.
The aesthetic fad hides the ugly truth of high suicidal rates resulting from depression in young adults and normalizes the association of mental illness with isolation.
And if you don't fit into this aesthetic, you might want to start looking for things to be sad for.
Because sadness is now a personality.
Depression is now the Gucci purse to your Balenciaga outfit. Everything is so decorative.
But real people are suffering and dying because the pain from their mental health became unbearable. Maybe to someone, that depression only means a black and white filter. To another, it means a loved one lost forever.
Sad or not, life is filled with ups and downs.
And not every second can be an aesthetic Pinterest board.
After all, your emotions are not a trend.